Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to House of Joy.
I'm so happy you're here, Emily May.
I know. We say this literally every time we record, but
we do.
Every time, well, especially I feel like the summer months, we are so busy that I feel like we try, we've gotten more creative, like posting, past episodes. It's just harder to get here in the summer.
I know, so but then when you do get here, I'm so excited to sit down with you and chitty chat.
I know, and this weekend we have a really fun weekend.
We have such a fun weekend.
I'm having my bridal shower.
First bridal shower.
On Saturday, which is so exciting, which is insane.
I can hardly wait,
How
by
can
the way.
it already be time for a bridal shower? I have no idea. And we're going to be on the lake, and we're going to go see the boys. And it's like the first weekend I feel like I've gotten to be here, like by myself, just hang out with the parents. So this is amazing.
By the way, this is not going to maybe be your favorite episode because...
Oh my gosh. Me and Katie were actually talking about this. So obviously you can tell by the title, we're doing like a relationship episode. Mom and Dad just celebrated their 25 years. It's so good for me because I can always remember what anniversary you're on because it's the year that I'm turning.
That you turn. Yeah. When you turn 25, we're celebrating 25 years. Yes.
Don't think about
Don't do the math, people.
Too hard, but yes. Anyway, and I was telling Katie, she's actually not here with us, so if the tech goes wrong, like
we're blaming Katie.
No, we're blaming ourselves because we are just out here trying. But anyway, I was talking to her. I was like, "Yeah, Mom wants to do this episode, like 25
hot takes,"
and she was like, "Are you sure you want to do that episode with her?" And I was like, I don't know.
Now that you mention it,
but I did have something I wanted to start with when I was thinking about this in the car on the way here.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because I've been doing a lot of reflecting on my like childhood and just certain things lately.
Okay.
And it is so cool to be at the point because I mean, as a kid, I'm sure most kids aren't super aware of like their parents' separate relationship from them.
Right.
Like you don't really start to think about that until you are out of college. Honestly, I don't think maybe
right now, this moment.
Literally right here, right now. But it's so fun to watch y'all's relationship like evolve over time, and maybe it's because I'm like more aware of y'all's separate relationship apart from us, but I also do feel like y'all are like more in love and more like with each other than you ever have been. Not to say that you never were, but it just is so apparent to me, and maybe it's also because I'm about to go into marriage,
yeah,
but it is so cool. Like me and Hayden talk about it all the time, how lucky we are to get to watch y'all's relationship and like the true love that you guys have for each other. It's so sweet. And I feel like in the last few months it's like, I mean, it's like a little tad nasty. Like there's a side where it's like,
you're like, okay, enough.
But on the other side of it, it's also like, how lucky am I that I get to watch my parents who raised me be so in love. Like that's not always what people get to experience. And I'm just really thankful. And I just needed to point out that y'all are you seem more in love than ever before.
I do. It's funny because I do feel like I can't think of very many times. We've had some hard years and some hard seasons, but I literally can't think of very many times that in some ways it didn't feel like we were still in the honeymoon phase. We have had.
Yeah.
It's been really incredible.
Yeah. And I guess it is true. Like I'm just looking at every marriage, every relationship a little differently now, like going into a different season of life. But yeah, y'all have always, I've never questioned my whole entire life if you guys were good. You know, I've never had like, oh, why are they fighting? Or y'all have, I mean, if you were, you did a great job at hiding it. But yeah, y'all.
Well, we were saying this on Monday because we've been in such a full season with like the family and everything going on. It's a big year for our family, and we wanted to take a trip together, but Miss Edie's passport expired, and
Oh, shoot.
so that was part of it. Second is that we decided that we want to take a little trip after your wedding, kind of like our 25-year honeymoon after your honeymoon.
I know, that's so,
So
fun.
we're
Where are y'all
really
going?
excited. We're thinking of going to BVI, to the British Virgin
That
Islands.
was the first. Well, I guess I don't know if it was the British Virgin Islands, but aren't there other Virgin Islands?
The
Well,
US Virgin
anyway,
Islands, yes.
we were thinking of, there's some really, really,
Really
beautiful,
cool
cool
places,
places.
And we'll see. We haven't decided yet. But I made Dad take off July 7th, which was our actual anniversary. I go, can you just, because that's usually his busiest day of the week. It was on Monday. I said, can you take the whole day off? And he goes, yeah, why? And I'm like, because it's our anniversary and
We have to celebrate.
We have to celebrate. And so he took the whole day off. We had such a lovely day. We had our coffee together. We went on a coffee cruise. I read part of my book. Then we went surfing. Then we came home and had lunch. Then we went back surfing. We just had literally the best day. And if that was the whole way we celebrated and we don't end up taking a trip later, that is totally fine too. But we had a great day, and we were talking about how grateful we are to feel this way after this long. It's crazy to me.
No, it's not a given.
No, and I mean, I'm really thankful.
Yeah, I think that's another part of it is when you get older, you start to see other adults and how they act and how that, even people my age, how they treat each other.
Yeah.
Is like really kind of
cannot be great sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes not be great. And especially I can totally see how if you would get 25 years into a marriage, how over time like you just start accepting that you're not acting the same way towards each other. Like I can see now how that would be an easy because marriage is so hard.
Yeah, and life it's such a marathon, like it's such a and there's so many phases of it. And I really do think this is our sweetest phase yet. We literally love this phase of life. We love raising Tom. We love our grandbaby phase. We love this stage with you guys. It's so fun. Like, you guys are so fun. We were actually talking about the fact that I wasn't talking about this with Dad, but I was talking about this with another girlfriend about how when you get to this phase of life, often your friend group kind of shrinks a little bit.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that because we still are really close friends. And I said, yeah, I think for us, part of it is we have so many amazing kids that by the time we have like all the time we want to spend with our kids, which is never enough for us, we would take all the more time. There's not a whole lot of time left.
No,
to
seriously.
Cultivate other relationships when you got 9 kids.
I know. I was thinking about it like on the way here. And like, yeah, when you have such a big family and you want to try to like pour into your family, and you're doing it to the level you really want to do it at, there's not
a whole lot of time left.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful for it. Also, Dad and I, and the reason I thought this would be funny, I saw somebody else do something similar for, I can't remember if hers was like 10 years of marriage, something like that. And I thought it was really good. And I feel like I spent probably the first 10 years of our marriage going, I don't think we're doing it right because all of these other people are doing these things differently. So my 25 hot takes is not necessarily for everybody else to go, oh, that's the way you should do it. It's like, this is the way we've done it, and it's worked really well. And most of what I wrote here goes against what you would hear from like conventional marriage wisdom or conventional advice. So take it with a grain of salt. But
well, I'm really excited to hear. Yeah. I'm really excited to hear your hot takes, and
most of them are PG.
I'm sure most keyword. Okay. I'm so scared. I actually just got a chill down my spine. I might have to close
Shivers.
my ears. But I was going to say that this is such a cool episode. It's like legacy content for that, like, we can go back and listen to, 2 years, 3 years,
10 years.
10
25
years.
more years. Dad said, gosh, we could have 25 more years. And I'm like, oh, I hope we do. I bet we will.
You will.
Okay, first hot take. This one is going to stir some feathers.
Okay.
Ruffle some feathers.
Let's
Stir the
ruffle
pot.
'em.
We don't work on our marriage.
Interesting. Okay, go
Keep going.
elaborate.
We don't work on our marriage. I have heard people say this. I think this could be true. The best way to watch a marriage die is to get in couples counseling.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of it. You know what I am a fan of is doing your own work on yourself. Do your own work on yourself.
Be the best version of yourself.
Yes. That, to me, that's the best way.
You know, that's so interesting because I feel like, especially in Christian culture,
Yeah.
that like the opposite advice is given. Like,
Yeah.
your marriage is going to take so much work.
Right.
And it does make it seem like that's in terms of like you two. It does feel like you have to sit down and talk about everything that's wrong. What are we doing
and,
wrong?
Yeah. And that's what couples therapy ends up being.
Yeah. But it's so funny because I've
For a lot of
said
people,
this
I should say.
before. This year, apart from Haddon, like our relationship has flourished more in this year apart than it did in the 2 years that we were physically together.
Yeah.
And the only way that we both have been able to like explain that is that like we have been able to spend a year like working on ourselves
Yes.
separately, which I mean, obviously that's not always going to be the case.
Right.
But that has proven true. Like, it's not like we were sitting there figuring out how we can stay close over a year apart. We just worked on ourselves, and in turn, it like
Yes.
it showed in our relationship together.
Yes. And Dad and I both have been on a bit of a separate journey. I think I probably came into the relationship with a lot more like unhealed trauma, unhealed wounds kind of thing. But as I started to get healthier and healthier, it was like contagious for him. He was really interested in it. He's always been like that in a way, though, because he's always in a way that maybe a guy would be in a different way, but like into personal growth. What's the next thing for me? That's how he ended up becoming a podiatrist. So he's always had that bent as well. And yeah, I just realized like, oh yeah, we don't quote unquote work on our marriage. We
Yeah.
enjoy our marriage. We serve together. We're on the same mission together, you know, but I think that is like probably anti-conventional wisdom. And I think has
Definitely.
been key for us. If I would have tried to drag your dad to some kind of therapy, especially when I wasn't healed enough to know my part of what was going on, it wouldn't have been good.
And I think the more that you work on yourself, it brings up to where you want to talk to your partner about that.
Yes.
But it doesn't put it on them.
It doesn't put it on them, and then they don't get defensive. Yes. So
Yeah.
take
I
that or
love
leave that, but there you go.
I love that.
Okay, number 2. I've probably never quite been like this, but I think this is a mistake a lot of people make, is I don't try to get all my needs met through him. And I was listening to, I don't know if this was a podcast or a book I was reading, but it was talking about how in previous cultures, you lived in villages. We didn't live so isolated where your partner, now there's so much pressure on your partner to be your soulmate and your partner in every way and fulfill all your needs. Like you lived in villages and in communities.
Yeah.
And so think of like the important role that your sisters and your mom and your co-workers, like
Right.
that they all play in your life. And we have gotten to the point, I think, in our culture where we're like, this person needs to be the end all be all for everything. And I don't think that's good, because I don't think one person is ever designed to do that. We're meant to live in connection with all these other people.
Well, and yeah, also someone is not going to understand you fully
Yes.
at all times.
Right.
Like Haddon can't always understand me the same way Sydney can.
Right. or your mom or your
yes,
sister
yes.
or yes. I
so
love
that
that.
makes sense. Yeah.
So that's a good one. Number 3. So you know this. Dad and I live in a pretty traditional way. We have traditional roles in a lot of ways. But one thing that we don't do is keep score. Like we don't say, like I see this all the time now where they're like, well, we have to split up all the house chores and we have to split up all the this and we have to make sure it's even and make sure it's, and we have never
Fair.
done that. And I can remember a time early on where I felt like, especially probably when I was full-time home and not
Yes.
working at all outside the home. I can remember a time where I was like, oh, it all falls on me. But then when I would really think about it, I'm like, oh, wait, there's a lot of stuff that falls on him. He takes care of all the boats. He takes care of the yard. He takes care of all the stuff in the house that's like the maintenance kind of stuff
That you don't even
that I
know
don't
to
even
think
know
about.
that he's doing.
Yes.
Like he was up there just before you came home today doing what he does, like going around with the furnace filters and taking some light fixture off that wasn't working right, like all of that stuff. And so even though if somebody looked in on the outside, they might go, oh, they have such traditional roles. You know, I just have never seen it that way. And we just don't do that. We don't keep score. We don't say, well, I did this last time or I did. I don't know. I just think that for the most part, I don't think is a great way to
I've
operate in
heard
any relationship.
Advice about, because a lot of people say like you need to be 50-50 in a marriage. Like you both need
How about
to be-
100-100?
That's what I was going to say. Like if you're both bringing 100% to what you are best at, then
Yes.
there's no need to keep score because
That's
you're
right.
both 100% in it.
100% in. And some seasons, like I can think of seasons where with Thomas, you know, there would be seasons where I would be out in the afternoons doing things with him. Dad would start dinner.
Yeah.
There have been plenty of seasons where I'm the one who does dinner 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like just being willing to go all in, whatever needs to be done. We're a team. We're both wanting the same things, you know, but without tit for tat or like keeping score or I just did this last time or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Love that.
love that. Number 4. This kind of goes a little bit to number 2, but I hear people say this all the time. This person completes me. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I think that's your job to do that. And I think it, again, can put a lot of pressure on the other person. And I think a lot of times we say that from our unhealed self, that if this person would just be this way and do this thing, then everything would be better or okay. And I think bringing 2 healed people to the relationship or understanding that you're bringing 2 unhealed people that still have things they need to work on and both being willing to work on it instead of expecting that somehow magically because we got married on October 25th, now we're both going to feel complete and fulfilled and that
100%.
person's going to do all that. It's not. It doesn't work like that.
Well, and even
it's
if
too
you
much
don't
pressure.
express that through words, like someone can feel the pressure that you're putting on them, even if it's unspoken.
Yes.
Like if you feel like someone should complete you, they will feel that pressure.
They will feel that pressure.
And yeah, that is.
And what do you do when you feel pressure? You don't like it. You either shrink back from it or you try to control it or something like that. Like, yeah, it's not good for either person. Number 5, I was thinking about this because, especially for women in midlife, like a lot of women in midlife get to a point in their marriage where they're like, this is boring. I don't desire that person. It's the same old kind of thing. What I think is true is that when you come alive to your life, it fixes that in so many instances. The reason you feel blah about that is because you kind of feel blah about everything.
If you feel blah and your marriage is boring, it's probably because
you're feeling blah. You're creating blahness by how you show up. And I teach this a lot to my own students, but I think if you want more meaning, you do things like you mean it. If you want more purpose, you bring more purpose. If you want this marriage to feel alive, you bring that to it. That desire, that aliveness or whatever. And it's not something that, because a lot of people say, well, we used to have that. Well, when did you stop creating that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can create it or not create it. And it's easy to create it in the beginning. It's takes a little more intention and work to create it later on. But I think it's usually like a sign of you not being alive. Because I can think the times that we struggled most in our marriage was when I just wasn't doing great myself, you know? And then it's hard because you're not bringing your full energy, life, and all that to the relationship, then it's so easy for the other person not to.
Yeah. That
So
makes sense.
I think coming alive to your own life makes your marriage a lot better.
Yeah.
So,
I love that.
okay. Number 6. Oh, this is a good one. Dad and I don't go on date nights.
Yeah, that is...
Never have. What do you think of that, Emily May?
That one is crazy to me.
It is?
And I know it is true. Which, there's no judgment.
There's no judgment or there is judgment?
I
There's
think,
no.
but also everyone is different. Like...
And well, let me
you
say
both
this.
are types of people who don't want to go out like
somewhere.
that. Like, that's not a part of either of your personalities. To, like, you barely even want to go to a restaurant or, like, you love your life so much here.
And that's what I was going to say. We have an amazing, beautiful rhythm of life. And it feels like it's always, in some ways, a date night.
Did y'all used to?
We used to like
when you were
this
younger?
is one of those where I'm saying like I would read things and go, oh, we should have date nights.
Yeah.
But then it would
I
feel like, why am I forcing us to have date nights when we both literally just want to be home and sit out on the porch and have a glass of wine or, you know, whatever it is for us. Like we would have our version of it. Like the other day, we spent the whole entire day together on the boat having so much fun. I mean, you could call that a date.
I think that is. And I think this is where your intention behind it and like how you're fully present in moments and how you choose to look at things is the most important part. Like you could love going and getting dressed up. Like,
yes,
I feel like me and Haddon do like,
you would probably like
that.
It more. Yeah.
But it's more, that's how we like to show each other or whatever it is. Like, I do think people will be like, oh, but I like going.
And the thing of it is, I can remember seasons of our life where I was like, oh, I want to go on a trip. Like, for instance, when we went out west for one of my birthdays, we had so many fancy dates, like 3 in a row. We would get all dressed up, go out to a fancy dinner. But it's like we're in Vegas and that's what we wanted to do. And it felt like fun. But like because I've heard that advice, like, oh, your marriage will be healthier if you have weekly date nights. And I'm like, maybe.
I've seen multiple like reels or things that are like the thing that saved our marriage or the thing that changed our marriage is like weekly date nights. Yeah. Which I definitely think the intention behind that is good. Because it's just
and for some people, you're right. That might work great.
Yes.
But I think you have to know yourself and you don't have to make yourself wrong.
But I also can see like if me and Haddon got to the stage of life where we're like living in our dream place and we're very content, how I could see how we wouldn't want to leave. You wouldn't
necessarily want to.
Yeah. Like I could see how that would be the case.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think it's what you're doing.
No.
But like your intention behind being
it's like carving out time for that person, which we do without having quote unquote date nights.
Yes.
So good. Number 7 is, it has taken me a while to learn this, but because I am so self-sufficient, but I have really learned how to let Dad take care of me. And it is so amazing. Like, for instance, when I was gone last weekend for the whole weekend at the live event and I'm serving people and I'm, every second of every day for days on end, like pouring into people, It's so nice to come home. It's like he has made this little walled garden, fortress, something for me where I feel so taken care of and so safe and so cherished. I just love that. I love letting him do that and
Yeah.
just receiving it. And I feel it a lot, especially like for instance, on Fridays when I have the boys, when I come home, I can just feel him wanting to like
Make sure that
make
if you're
sure I have everything I
comfortable and
need
you're,
and let me take care of you and how was your day and what do you want to do tomorrow? Should we just relax? Or whatever. I just can feel his intention of like taking care of me. And it goes both ways. I definitely take good care of him too, but learning how to let him take care of me it's taken a little work because I'm very self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So I think that has been good for us, especially in these last few years. Okay, number 8. I have been so intrigued. The past 2 years, I've been reading more about this because, I've been obsessed for a long time with the hero's journey. And I started reading about the heroine's journey, the female version of that, and which led to me reading a lot about female energetics and feminine leadership and what it really means to be a woman and what it really means to receive. And there's a lot of stuff in our culture that's not great about masculinity and femininity. But really leaning into femininity has been so powerful. It's so magnetic to really lean into that. Like, what does it mean to be beautiful and sensual and like in that posture of receiving? And it's just very attractive and magnetic for us to let our feminine qualities shine through.
Yeah.
And not hide them or, I don't know, not be ashamed of them. But because if you think about, and we have both women, men and women have both masculine and feminine energy. The masculine energy is the doer in us, right? The get stuff done. And I love that version of me too. But that side of me that's soft and takes time, and it's actually a huge part of what I've cultivated since having grandbabies.
Yeah.
Slowing down, being present, that soft side. But that side of us is so magnetic. And I think that Dad and I have always, again, we have more traditional roles and more traditional, he's very masculine. I'm pretty feminine.
Yeah.
But there's something about that polarity that is so attractive.
It makes sense.
Yeah. And I think leaning into that more and more has been a key for us. Like, I love that side of him. He's really strong and but he's also quite tender. I mean, you guys say that all the time. Like, he's such a stoic, then he's very tender on the inside. And just really leaning into and learning more about the polarity of that. And I've been even reading about the wounded feminine and the wounded masculine versus if you're living from your healed feminine self.
Yeah.
And that has been really interesting. And I think because of the background where I came from, I tended to be like an over functioner. We talked about this a little bit at the live event. I don't know if you remember this, but like how over functioning women, it's basically operating from your wounded feminine side where you feel like you have to take care and you have to do things and you've got to
just protect myself.
Yes. And that overdoer, over functioner versus letting yourself be taken care of and letting that feminine side really show.
Well,
it's
and also
very magnetizing.
like we've kind of talked about this before, but men want to feel respected and to feel like you want them to take care of you.
Yes.
And I do think that's gotten a little bit blurred, which everyone's different. But I do think like what you're saying is right, where when you really step into like your truest self, it is like magnetizing to the other person.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I like that.
I love that. Okay, number 9. This is another thing that's probably newer for me in the last 5 or so years, I would say. But I think learning how to take really good care of myself has been a really nice gift to Stevie and vice versa. So we have both gotten a lot healthier in the past 5 or 10 years. We've both prioritized that. Even I haven't really been like all into, I mean, I've always loved like beauty and makeup, but with your wedding coming up, I've been doing all this research on beauty treatments I want to get. And I just told you, like, I ordered this.
And I'm like feeling like, can you bring me along with you on your beauty regimen schedule?
Yes, I can. I ordered Dr. Pin. So I'm trying to talk my little Emily May into doing microneedling with me tonight.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah. So we're going to microneedle each other.
Okay.
We're going to stick needles in each other's faces.
A little scared,
I'm
but
scared
okay.
too.
We can do this.
But anyways, like really taking good care of yourself for the other person. Again, you're too young for this to apply to you, but as you get older, people just give up. They're just like, that stuff doesn't matter anymore. And it does matter because it matters because it matters to the other person, but it also matters because I want to be my healthiest and have the most energy and take care of myself in the best way that I can. And I'm just realizing that that's not a selfish thing to do, that helps me show up my best in this relationship. And, I've watched Dad over the past 5 years when he got his tonal, because he doesn't love, like going to group fitness. So when he got his tonal, he's just been so faithful and so strong. Yes. And as we've both like learned how to wake surf, and you got to be pretty strong for that. Like it's so inspiring.
And by the way, he's like the best one at it.
Yeah.
And it goes to show like his dedication to anything.
Yeah.
Like literally he barely, I feel like, tries that hard, and he's so good at surfing.
Yes, he is so good at it.
It is very impressive.
It's so impressive, and it's fun to watch. So that has been good, is both of us kind of prioritizing our own health and our own taking good care of ourselves. Number 10, physical connection. What I wrote down is physical connection can sometimes heal what words can't. And Dad and I have always been affectionate. We have always been smooch when you leave, smooch when you first see each other, smooch when you haven't seen each other in 2 hours, hug a lot. And that affection goes a long way. Like I notice it when people are, because most people aren't.
Right.
And I really appreciate that about him. He doesn't even think about it. Like, when we're on a meeting on Mondays and Dad comes home for lunch, he doesn't even think twice about it. I'm on a Zoom call. He comes over into the view of the camera and smooches.
I know. And that is another thing too. I've read this a lot, and I've listened to a lot of people. It really affects your children too.
Yes.
If you're affectionate in front of them and show that, like, when my wife or my husband is in the room, I don't care if it makes the kids uncomfortable or whatever. It's actually so good for your kids to see you.
To see that.
Love each other. Should I let him in really quick?
Let him in.
Hold on. Pause for a band.
We got to get bands in. He's scratching at the door. Yeah. And, of course, Tom's at the age where he thinks that's kind of gross. But we don't care. It's just so much in our habit. I'm so thankful that I was raised with affectionate people. Granny was always really affectionate. My daddy actually was really affectionate. I'm so thankful I was raised with that, because when we first got together, he wasn't used to being that affectionate, but I was so affectionate that it just became our mutual habit. And I actually love it so much. They say that you do need like humans need, I think, 8 physical touches a day. There's science on this. Do you believe this?
Believe that for sure.
Yeah. So why not get them from the person you love most?
This about y'all, and it's one of those things. Another one of those things where I never really thought much of it until I got older. But it is so impactful that like he, as a man, like just doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't care. Yeah. It's just how it is. Yeah. And I love that. And
it's so sweet.
It is so sweet.
Okay, number 11. I don't need him to get me. This is a good one because I coach a lot of women who say, I just don't feel like he gets me, or I just don't feel like sometimes they'll say stuff like cares about what I'm doing. And I have been doing a job for the past 6 years, which is weird, which most people don't understand. Oh, you're a life coach. Okay, what does that mean? Well, I'm on Zoom calls with my clients and I'm creating curriculum and I'm doing live streams.
Right.
Literally, to this day, there are so many parts of what I do that Dad does not get.
No, I honestly did not understand until I came and worked for you.
So why should he, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine that he
M's probably like, just now starting to understand.
There are parts of it where I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize that's how that worked. So, yeah, how are we going to expect him to understand?
Yeah. And I think that when we take the time to like stay connected to ourselves and quote unquote get ourselves, we have much less of a need for other people to get it. So I would dare say that 90% of the people in my life don't get what I do.
Yeah, not fully.
Not fully.
Well, no, so they're not enveloped in the work. Like,
no
one is going to truly understand your experience.
Or even like, I can think of times where, like say for instance, Aunt Jamie comes to town. Aunt Jamie comes to town. We're going to be sitting on my porch and we're going to bust into some kind of old school country song, sing at full voice.
Yes.
Dad is not going to get that.
Yes.
And that's okay.
And I think there's a difference too, because there's such a double standard. Because I've heard the joke, like, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard it, where it's like, computer guys, like, I'm never gonna understand.
Right.
I've like seen memes about it where it's like my husband trying to explain like what he does for work, and
right.
like that's okay.
Yeah.
There are some things that like your knowledge just can't get you that far, and that doesn't mean that he doesn't support. That's a different story.
It's a different thing. And it's funny because I used to think, oh, he doesn't ask me a ton of questions about it, so maybe that means he's not interested. It's like really people don't even sometimes know what to ask. But when I came back this time from the live event, we had so many good discussions about it. And I wasn't trying to force it on him. I'm like, yeah, it's really cool. It's really fun. He came and had lunch that day. And so he got to see like all the setup of it. And, so we did have a really good chat about it. But I got over that a long time ago, like needing him to really understand or want to talk about it for hours. No, he's not going to do that.
It's funny because when we were there this weekend, it's like almost sweet. Like it happens the same way where you can tell by his questions that he asks, like he truly doesn't understand really what we're doing there.
Right.
I mean, he understands to a point, but like also, we haven't sat down and me like breaking down every part of this aspect. And like, I don't even really want to do that. Like, I just appreciate his support and being like, I hope you do good. I hope you had a great weekend.
Hope it was a great weekend.
What did like there's
like?
Ways. Yes. But then he'll ask certain questions where I'm like, you totally have no idea what we're doing here.
Right.
And like, why would he?
And why would he? Yeah.
He's supportive and he loves what I do. And he thinks that everything
I love
I
that
do.
you love what you do.
Yes. Is like amazing because it's me doing it.
Yes.
But he doesn't have to understand.
No.
I don't understand what he does in the military. People ask me questions all the time. I'm like, I have no idea. But I'm also still proud of what he does. And and he knows that.
Yes. Okay. Number 12. I've asked Stevie this many times. The most important thing you do together. Want to guess what Dad always answers?
Go to church.
Communion.
Mm.
Yes. So if you ask Stevie, what's the thing that has brought the most magic into your marriage, he would say communion together every Sunday. And it's the sweetest, by the way. We went to church this past Sunday. We got to church. Tom had no shoes.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh.
Like, we drive an hour to church, y'all. So it's not like what are we going to do?
You're already probably, like, on the edge of being late.
We're on the edge of being late. We're out of the car walking to church. He peeps out of the truck and goes, I don't have no shoes.
We're like, okay.
So Dad just let him have the keys. He sat in the car with no shoes on. It also meant that we couldn't go out to eat after church. But anyways, we got to sit together beside each other
For the first time, maybe.
for the first time in so long, because Tom loves to sit right between us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so sweet. Dad just put his little arm around me and he was like, oh, I mean, I can't even. It's so
That
sweet.
is so sweet.
That
Yeah, y'all have had kids in
hour
between you
for
for years and years.
25 years. But anyways, it was so sweet. So those little things mean everything. We're getting through it, Em. See, this hasn't been so bad for you, has
No,
it?
this has been great. There have been a couple moments where I was like, I
Okay,
need to
hope she doesn't.
recluse, but
Not bad.
we're good.
Number 13. I didn't always believe this, but conflict is not the enemy. So Dad and I have had some conflict lately about some things. And we have had a beautiful chance to work through it. What we both have to... and we talked about this as we were having the conflict. That here's where we start from. We love each other. And we ultimately have the same goals for whatever this thing is related to. One of our kids or how we want to spend our money. We ultimately have the same goals.
Yes.
And we love each other. And I trust you so much. So I want to hear
Why
from
you
you.
think, yes.
And it was so interesting because it felt like we talked for a while and we were still kind of at an impasse. And it hit me why I was feeling so much resistance. And it hit me why. And it stemmed from something in my childhood. And as soon as I brought it up, I like choked on my words. I got really emotional.
It's like the thing that was clearly...
It's the thing.
Like...
That was the thing. If you can let yourself get to what's under the thing, to the thing that's really the thing.
There's always...
We had such a great talk. And that led him
He
to
can
getting to what
understand you
was really
more.
his thing. And we got down to the baseline of it, which is we love each other so much and we want the same things, ultimately. And we might have varying opinions about how to get there, and we can work through that. Anyways, it was so good. We've learned how to hold conflict in such a more beautiful way without making the other person wrong, without vilifying the other person, without operating in our egos. And that is huge. It's been a huge key to us. Because like you said, you've really never seen like any big conflict or any big whatever. I think it is because we have learned how to get to the real thing.
Yeah,
fast.
and that's really good advice for me. Because me and Haddon are able and have been able in conflict to get to that point, but it takes a while. And I think it's one of those things where the more you practice, the quicker you get to that place.
Yes.
And it's really nice to watch it from like y'all's like real, like I've seen you be in real conflict with each other, not fighting or like loud or anything like that, but like I've seen you
us working through
things like that. And it's so helpful to watch because it is so clear that even when you're disagreeing, like you have so much love and respect for each other that you never assume that you're 100% like in the right and they're in the wrong. Like,
yeah.
I've never heard you ever talk bad about Dad to us. Like, you've never been like, oh, he's, you know, I can't believe he thinks this way. Even maybe if you
I'm probably usually even on the other side going, oh, you have to understand him. Like, this is the way
you've always had his back. Like, I think, honestly, there's been more times where me and Ellie are like, bro, like, he's acting bad. And you know better than we have in the past, for sure. And I've seen that come to fruition even with me and Hannah's relationship, like friends not understanding like
one or the other.
Yeah. And it's so nice to be able to have like your two on the same page, even if you're not.
Yeah.
Always
we're trying to get on the same page.
Yes.
That's exactly right. It's like, you know, you're trying to get on the same page. That's what we want to do.
And it stems from we love each other. I like that. Like, it always is the foundation. We love each other, and we usually want the same thing.
Yes.
Like,
so good.
Deep down.
So good. Number 14, we don't have the same roles, but we have the same mission. I mean, this is probably playing on the same theme, but I think of even how different Dad's relationship is with all the kids than mine. But then I was just doing this. He was showing me a text thread with him and Ellie last weekend. And I was like, and it was while you and I were gone to the event. And I was like, that's the sweetest thing I've ever seen. Like the way he does it is different,
But it's just as
but it's just as impactful. I mean, he can say one word to you guys and your heart is melting.
I'm done. I do think that's something I've really grown to appreciate things about him and other people that I wouldn't appreciate. Like, when you start to understand someone who's so drastically different than you, which now I'm learning Dad is actually not so drastically different from me at all. I'm actually very similar to him. But when you understand someone from a different way, it is like, it could be the smallest thing from the outside that he will say or do. But it's like, you know how much it means to
went
it.
into it.
Yes. And so it like means more than someone, going on and on. It's just made me have such a different perspective of other people that I have relationships with, like who are different than me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 15, I don't look to him to meet my needs. And we talked about this a little bit, but I want to add to it a little bit that I think we need to cultivate our own interests, our own relationships, friendships, relationships with the kids that maybe are a little bit different, things that we enjoy, hobbies, whatever, where it feels like we're both bringing our full, alive, interested selves to the relationships instead of both coming to the relationship exhausted and needing something. And I will say that I can think of times where we were both needier in the relationship than the other, and we got through those periods of time. But the times where we thrive the most is when we're both individually cultivating things that we love on our own, and then bringing our full selves to the relationship.
Yeah, I love that.
Where we're not coming to the relationship with all of these unmet needs, like, well, now it's your fault and you should do this for me and you should, whatever. I actually can't think of, there have been a couple, maybe 2 or 3, but not very many seasons where it felt like it was one way or the other. And even when we were in seasons like that, I can remember a specific time when and I just vulnerably acknowledged it. Like, I don't know why I'm struggling with this so much, but I'm so insecure right now. He went through a time, it's crazy, where he was feeling that way, and he was just very honest and vulnerable about it. So we worked through it. But I think for the most part, again, it's like confronting the things in your life, doing your own work so that you come to the relationship healthy, or you are willing to acknowledge, like, this is an area that I'm really struggling with and working through, and can you help me, instead of blaming them, which is often what we do in that situation. Okay. 16, marriage is not, for us, hasn't been what has felt like steady progress. It has felt more like 1,000 deaths and resurrections. It has felt more like, almost quantum leaps at times, but then, I wouldn't characterize it as like, oh, it's just gotten better and better and better and better. It's like, it's gotten so sweet, but I think it has been a lot of dying to a version of ourselves where we were running our lives from our ego, or,
it's like really getting more and more and more yourself.
Yes.
And like seeing that in the other person.
Yeah. And appreciating the things in them that make them different. We all come to the relationship with probably a lot of ego, a lot of not operating from our fullest, truest selves, and letting those parts die off.
Yeah.
So that you can get to, where it's like that highest redeemed, loving version of you is interacting with that highest version of them. And I think that takes a lot of dying to self. It takes a lot of dying to the parts of you, your ego and the parts of you that want to blame and the parts of you that are stuck in victim mode and the parts of you that want to be right all the time and the parts of you that, it has just been a process of really dying to that. And instead of looking to the other person to what needs to die in them, looking to see like,
Yes.
oh, where am I still not operating from my redeemed self?
Yeah.
So.
And I think honestly, probably a big part of that for y'all is like the gospel and
Yes. No, realizing. I do think it's that. It's like really true good theology where you can't point the finger because you know your own sin. You know what you're capable of. You know your own heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's enough for you to deal with. And they're going to have to deal with their stuff with
Yes.
the Lord. With the,
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's good theology and just letting the gospel, Christ's love for all of us. I mean, honestly, Dad's right with the whole, communion, confession. We're standing there every Sunday saying the confession together. And we know that
it's so
the
powerful.
person we're standing next to is the person we're offending most, usually.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Oh, this is a duplicate. Affection no matter what. Okay, so that must have been really important to me. So double
the trouble.
the trouble
affection.
for affection.
She's trying not to say things that would offend me.
No, there's one down here.
Oh, God.
Is there one? Because I could go there.
I
could go there, but we won't. But I do think it's really important. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Next number.
Y'all can use your best judgment. And we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Next number. Falling in love is often easy. Staying in love is a daily choice. And Dad and I both read, I can't remember which C.S. Lewis book it was. I think it's Mere Christianity, where he talks about if you don't currently love your neighbor, act like you love him and you will come to love him. So that the action, even when you don't know if you feel that way, leads you to feel that way.
Yeah.
And it's like continuing over and over to show up in love, meaning to show up with love, with acts of love to the other person, even if you currently don't feel love. Because I think people say all the time, well, we just fell out of love. Well,
it doesn't just happen like that.
Right.
Like that takes time.
You stopped choosing thoughts that were loving. You stopped doing loving things. You stopped prioritizing the person. All of that. And that process takes a lot of work and intention. And so as you're getting ready to get married, all of this love that you just, it comes so easily in the beginning. You have to work to keep that
see it in the
alive. And I can remember even a few years ago where I was like, I just spent a whole month working on all of the things, like not working on, but thinking about all the things I loved about Dad. Somewhere in this house, there's a list of like 100 things. And I would just read that list over and over. And it was like, oh my gosh, it's so true. Oh, he does do that. Like, oh my gosh. Because we can just so take each other for granted. Yep. It's so easy to just take each other for granted. And doing that intentionally will take you a long way.
That is one thing that premarital counseling we did like 4 sessions of it before he left, which I'm so thankful we did that.
Yeah.
Because it just set us in like such a good mindset going into the deployment. But they told us like, which I kind of knew this, but it was nice to hear it from someone else.
Yes.
The way that you talk about each other and think about each other is how you experience each other. And the way that we both talk about each other is so
sweet
and kind and high and like
seeing the best in the other one.
Yes. And it is a choice.
Yes. Actually, that is we'll get out of order, but that is one of my next ones. And I have a really interesting example of this. So seeing each other as your best self or at their highest, like remembering that. Now, this list that I made for Dad several years ago was a good example, but I can remember when you were little, I used to have a blog, as you know. You could find some really sweet stuff that I wrote for Dad on that blog. And I wrote a little, you could call it a poem. I don't know. I wrote a thing to Dad. And I actually ended up writing it in a card, and then I typed it out and published it on my old blog. But I compared him to an oak tree or something like that. Like, if you read it, you would go, oh, like, man, the way she sees him. And I remember him saying, you see me in a way that I don't see myself. And I didn't even know coaching tools back then. But now I realize how powerful it is to see someone at their full potential, at their best, and to really like speak into that. Mm-hmm. Because we are so good at speaking into people's worst, right? Yeah. We're so good at finding the worst, saying the worst. I hate how you do this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And we're not very good at like finding the best things and speaking into that and praising that. And you do tend to get more of what you think about and speak, you know, into people. But I thought it was so sweet because he's like, yeah, you see something in me that I don't even think I see in myself. And probably
over time, like, it's changed his own view of himself, too.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yes.
Because I know that the way other people speak into me, it builds a confidence in you, too.
Yes,
it does. Is not the only thing.
Right.
But it does
But
help.
It is powerful. Yeah. And yeah, same for your kids. Their first thoughts of themselves come from you, how you think about them and talk about them and speak about them. Yes. 20. This one's interesting. And this goes back to the conflict, but we try to do this when when we are having conflict, not who's right, but what can connect us. So instead of often when we're trying to figure out who's right or wrong, that's a very disconnecting way to look at it. Because if you find someone who's she's right,
it's like very
I'm right
fingers.
And he's wrong. It's a disconnecting way to think. And I am always trying to think of how can I view this in a way that connects me to him. Because you know how you get in like and you have an issue with somebody, your mind goes to all the ways that they're wrong or their way of thinking about it is wrong. And those thoughts are very disconnecting. Mm-hmm. So instead of that, like sort of who's right, who's wrong, it's like, how can I think about this in a way that helps us stay connected to each other? And, you know, over the years, our disagreements get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. Now, it's almost like we don't let any disagreement go. We can sit together and talk about it enough to resolve it. But I can remember times when it would take a week or it would take...
You like have the silent treatment.
Yes, I would do the silent treatment. I would just be like, well, he made me mad. So and I'm going to do the silent treatment.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Talk to you next week.
Not great, by the way. Don't take that marriage.
Practice.
Don't take that into your marriage. But yeah, how can I stay connected? That's what we really want. We want connection.
Yeah, everyone.
To people. Yeah, we don't want to be right. We want to be connected. Okay. There's nothing sexier than emotional responsibility.
Okay, sexy. I don't know if I've ever heard you say the word sexy in my whole life. So.
Okay, that was traumatizing. So sorry. There's nothing more beautiful than emotional responsibility.
I like sexy. Come on. We're all adults.
We're adults. Yeah, this took me a long time. You're going to be so great at it. You already are great at this. And it just took me a long time to not blame other people for my emotions, to not outsource my emotions to other people, to really stand in the full responsibility. That word means the ability to respond.
And you know what I'm just thinking too, because it's not just taking emotional responsibility this I guess is me thinking this, maybe it's wrong, but like in between the relationship, it's like taking responsibility for also all your other relationships too, because the way that you, like, your partner doesn't want to hear you like blab on about someone else being like
right
horrible,
right?
You know, I mean, y'all might want to, like, you know, it's your person
and if that is your main thing you like to do with your partner, could be a sign to
not sexy.
Not sexy.
Not sexy. I actually think that is really good advice, because And it makes sense, because if that person is your safe place and you,
Yeah.
of
And
course,
you feel
wanna
hurt by
bring,
someone.
yes.
Right.
But I think like going on and on negatively talking about anyone, or not taking emotional responsibility between the two of you,
Yeah.
like, it gets exhausting. It's like, no one wants to hear that over and over and over again.
Right.
About anybody.
Yeah. You can say like, gosh, that person that really hurt my feelings. You
Of
can be,
course,
you want to be
of course.
honest with each other. It's not like you're trying to be
Like,
a robot.
oh, I'm so great.
I
I'm
have
positive
feelings
all the time. Yes.
No, but I also think that, and this is what I think we've both learned how to do really well, is to say, it's not you. I'm just feeling this way right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it would feel really supportive if, you could, whatever.
Yes.
Like, I think it's great to just be vulnerable and honest
Mm-hmm.
instead of, this is your fault, or, he makes me feel this way. What I learned to do early on is say, probably has nothing to do with you, but when you say that, I make it mean this,
Mm-hmm.
and then I feel hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
I
such an
feel
honest
instead
way.
of you did.
Yeah,
this.
I feel instead of you did. Such a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sexy,
I love
don't
that.
you think?
Sexy.
Katie's gonna shudder at the amount of times we said sexy.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, this is a good one. You can heal childhood wounds in your marriage or recreate them.
Ooh, that is really good.
I've recreated a few, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, you can't always do the good thing every single time. But that is so true. And, back to, I've been really trying to, like, force myself a little bit. And I've had moments where I'm like, am I really ready to do this at this point in my life right now? But where I've really been trying to reflect on, like, why I made certain decisions and who I was growing up and different things like that. And
you're at the age to where you do that,
yeah.
especially before you're getting married. You start to reflect on all of it, like, oh, I wonder if this
I've never
behavior
really thought
stems
about
from this, or
yes.
I wonder if,
But there, even like on the car ride here, there were already things where I was like, yeah, it's so interesting that I operated like that for so long. And yeah, I don't want to take that into my marriage or my life.
Yep.
But I mean, obviously, I've had a great childhood, so there's less things like traumatic that.
Yeah, but you just can get into patterns that you don't even realize that stem from, who knows, the way a parent was, your birth order, how things were in your family that led you to feel like, well, I should play this role because of what you do it for a variety of reasons. It doesn't have to be big T trauma.
Right.
But all of those things can affect us,
Yeah. I liked when you did the Sarah Thiessen episode. She talked about everyone's different experience and how trauma to one person, like the same thing can happen to two people, and someone takes it traumatically, and
trauma is not what happens to you; it's how you internalize or respond to what happens.
Can go through something that's like way less of a situation, and they can hold on to that as trauma.
Yes.
Whereas someone else, it was just like a blip in there, whatever. Yeah. So that's been interesting for me to think about.
Yeah.
Of like, what am I?
Is there anything that I'm holding on to that I want to
Yes.
release? So good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're almost done. You mentioned this earlier. I didn't even remember this was on here. We don't always agree, but we always respect and honor the other person. And I do think that's really, really valuable because we recently had something, and I think Dad was feeling like I didn't. And I kept saying, no, I have some resistance to it, but I respect you so much. I want to get on the same page about it. Mm-hmm. And it just took us some time to do it. But I think just knowing you have a baseline of love and respect.
Yeah, and that is one thing that's hard in a relationship with two people who are different.
Yeah.
Is something that they can take things disrespectfully that you didn't mean that way.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even feel like that had anything to do with it, like in your head.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that someone doesn't feel disrespected by something you said, or, And I've really had to learn that, like, really the main thing that Haddon wants is respect.
Yes.
And the main thing that I want is love.
Yep.
And those look different. And
yeah, and even acknowledging, like, as far as that goes, like, I will say sometimes, not as much as I should, actually, when I think about it, like, oh, I'm so appreciate that you notice
like
those things, all the little things that
them.
they do to take care and provide and to make you safe and to, you know, there's so many things.
So many
Haddon
things.
I noticed that right away. He's so outwardly, like, mannerly and let me do this, and like he wants to take care. You can it's very
100%,
obvious.
100%. And a lot of times I end up just looking over those little things.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it does feel like disrespectful to him.
Yeah.
And that when that's like your main form of like how you receive, then you have just like this out of balance thing. And it is so hard, which is why open communication is so helpful, because you like end up learning so much that you didn't even realize, oh, when I say that, he takes that as like, I don't respect your decision.
Yes.
And it's so interesting, communication, really, and how how much you learn about someone else just by,
if
like,
you're willing to really notice and talk through. 24, we both have gotten really good at just going first, kind of like without keeping score, forgiving first, initiating something first, or one of us bringing up something first. I remember a time where I thought, I'm always the one who does that.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to wait till he does.
Yes, till he, whatever, notices, acknowledges. And we have just both dropped all of that. Mm-hmm. We just both go first and both acknowledge.
And I'm not tacking that, oh, he did it.
Right.
Next time for me, next time for him.
Yes, where, you know, like, even if you think to yourself, oh, I'm always the one who apologizes, even if it was something like that, I would just reframe that and say, yes, I'm always the one who notices that. I love being the one in the relationship who does that first. But I notice that the more that I don't make that a problem, the more we both just do things first.
And also, we're always, let's be honest, we're always viewing ourselves as right. That's our ego wanting to be right.
Yes.
And so you probably think you're the one always apologizing, but it's because you're inwardly focused. You probably are missing the times
all the times when they do it.
Yeah.
Yes, so true. And last is, I do feel like we love each other more than we ever have. And I think a couple of reasons for that is that we have kept God at the center and our faith at the center, but we've also not been afraid to do the work on ourselves. So I think me learning to see myself the way God sees me has helped me be way more receptive to love and way more willing to give love. And I think the same for him, being really willing to see yourself as cherished, as God's crown of creation. He loves us so much. We're his beloved, allows us to then love and give and receive love way more than we could have done when we first got married. Like, we were, crazy in love when we first got married, but it's just deeper, richer, different now than ever before.
Yeah, and it's clear. Like, I feel like there is a different element to it, and it's so fun to watch. I'm so thankful to have a front row seat to watch you guys, and it's such a good teacher. Like, even for Haddon, like, he always says all the time, like, I want to be like your parents. And I do too. And not in like a way that like idolizes a fake reality, because I know y'all's reality.
Yeah,
it's not fake.
It's not always
like beautiful and perfect.
No.
But you
for sure not.
You put in the work and you see each other, and it's so real how you see each other. It's not just you're saying this. Like, you can tell that is true.
Yes.
And I'm so thankful.
I'm so thankful too.
Seat to watch.
I really appreciate it. And I hope it was some encouragement for everybody, because it's a marathon journey. It's, I think it's unlike anything that you can imagine when you set out to create a life together. It's harder than you think, more challenging than you think. The days can be longer than you think, but it's so worth fighting for. I'm so grateful that early on when we didn't have the tools, I'm just thankful that we held on to each other and just fought for it because it's so worth it now. And I can't imagine, like, I think of, just being able to be grandparents together. It's just like the sweetest thing. I already am super emotional about your wedding coming up, but I'm so thankful that it's something that Dad and I get to do together. I was thinking about this, Em. You are the first child of our love.
Oh,
I know. I was thinking about that the other day. I got so emotional. I'm like, yeah, but I'm just thankful to be able to go through seasons like we're in and headed toward.
I know it's a busy one. It's a busy one. Really probably the most action our family has ever experienced in 1 year.
I know.
It is crazy, but it's so fun.
So fun.
And yeah. And y'all are at the helm. Y'all are like, we get to just experience.
We're up here with our surfboards, leading with our surfboards.
You are.
Well, thank you so much for letting me share my 25 hot takes. I hope it wasn't too uncomfortable for you.
No, actually, it really wasn't. I was being dramatic. It was so good.
It was fine.
I can't wait to be able to listen to this and be reminded when I'm sure there will be those hard times.
They'll be a-coming, but you'll be ready.
Of course.
All right, we have a few favorite things.
I know.
I think this favorite things, by the way, because this has gotten long, but we are going to do a few favorite things, but let's be quick about it. I think it's a drink edition. Yeah.
Let's just do two.
I think we have three drinks related.
Okay.
You go first.
I first have been doing new electrolytes.
Relight?
No, it's not Relight. It's BPN.
It's
Nick Bear's brand.
Nice.
And I'm like really obsessed with him in this phase of my life.
You are obsessed with him. I'm happy for you.
So I wanted to try them, and now I don't know the when you read the label. I mean, it seems like all clean ingredients to me.
Okay.
But they taste
so good.
So good. And yeah, I've been loving those. So those have been my favorites.
Speaking of drinks, I have two things. First of all, apparently we gave out as a team these koozies at Love is Magic. Did you?
I didn't even get one.
Okay. Well, it was in my goodie bag. And it's so cute. And it says, Love is Magic. Cute. You're so golden. I've been using it on the boat every day. Love it. And what I've been putting in it. Now, listen, I rarely ever drink alcohol. But we were at Sebastian's house last week 2 weeks ago. He gave me this hard Italian soda called Bravazzi.
Bravazzi.
I think it's called Bravazzi. It's actually made in Nashville, bottled in Nashville or whatever.
They have these actually, Katie is the one who showed me this. They have them at this local place that we go to called Tremont.
Okay.
And she used to always get them there. And I was like, what is this?
It's so good. I love the blood orange one.
They're really good. Very
low percentage of alcohol, but it's so refreshing if you are going to have something fun, for summer.
I was gonna do you one over with the koozies. You need to dive into the world of the insulated koozies.
So one of your friends left one here. They are really good.
It's so good because it's the koozie does its job for a little bit, but it doesn't keep it the same level of cold.
Okay.
The insulated ones, you could basically leave it in there so long. They're so good.
We need to invest.
I know.
Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, everybody.
What a good episode. Thanks for making that list.
That was so fun. Thanks for letting me share. Thanks for letting me celebrate my anniversary yet again.
I know.
And enjoy
25 years.
The fruits of our labors. Yes.
So amazing.
Love you, Stevie.
Well,
all right, everybody. We love you too. And hope you have a great rest of your week. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.